Hello, everyone. My name is Amber Hug. I am the National Education Manager for Schwarzkopf, and guess what? We're back. This is our first Ask Me Anything in the year of 2026. So I've got to ask everybody, how was your New Year's? Did you guys all have fun? I hope you all enjoyed yourselves. It's a new year. Hopefully new questions that you can all put into the chat box. So I see that people are already starting to put some questions into the chat box, which I love. So we can definitely go ahead and start answering some questions. But just remember, throughout this, if you have any questions at all, type them into the chat box. I'll be answering them throughout this program. So I see that we already have a question about 10-minute whenever anyone talks about 10-minute color. 10-minute color is what it sounds like. It is a color that processes in 10 minutes. So the question is, will this color keep going darker? And what we like to call that in the hair industry is a progressive color. A progressive color is a color that continually gets darker and darker and darker. Color 10 will not do that. However, there are more pigments in this tube of color. So if you do leave it on longer, maybe you leave it on 20 minutes, it could appear slightly deeper. And the reason for that is it's a combination of pigment weight and an amino acid carrier system that allows this color to take a little bit quicker than a regular color by processing in 10 to 15 minutes. So that extra pigment weight means that those extra developing, which means it's a more dense level 6 or it's a more dense level 5. So if you've ever seen color 10 be slightly deeper than the swatch, if you've left it on longer, it's because of that extra pigment weight. It will not continue to go deeper and go all the way to black. So great question on that one. Let's see, we've got other questions here coming up. So let's see what we have coming up here. What's our next question here? Okay. The 10-minute color, does it keep going darker? We already answered that one. Does the new BlondMe bleach formula change? I love this question because we have our BlondMe 9 Plus, and I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. This is our #1 selling lightener. But if you follow Schwarzkopf Pro, you might have seen a different color container of BlondMe 9 Plus. There is a new lightener that has launched. In the US, it's the same formula that we've always had. So it is our BlondMe 9 Plus. So if you are seeing things on the global site, it is just something that has launched there, but our formula is exactly the same. So that formula did not change. So our BlondMe 9 Plus is tried and true, the same as what we've always had. Now, I'm going to keep going through some different questions here. Did the new BlondMe, okay, let's see if there's any more. Already answered that one. Did the new BlondMe formula change? Let's see, what else? Okay, I see another one here. Would you choose fashion lights with 30 or 40 volume lightener on hair that is more fragile on mids to ends? The hair is more coarse, but it has a history of being over processed. This is an excellent question. So our fashion lights are these right here. Fashion lights are also in the book. I'm going to grab this swatch for you. They are shades that are going to give you up to 5 levels one step, even on previously colored hair. So it's these shades right here. So you've got your red violet, your red, your copper, you've got a beige extra and a natural. These shades will lift through previously colored hair. But your question is, would this be better for more fragile hair? And what I would say is that fragile hair in general, high lifts and lighteners can be harsh on them. So is it more gentle? I don't know that I would say more gentle. I would say that a fashion light would be about the same damage, or I say damage, but it would be about the same as using a low volume lightener on her hair. So it's still going to be gentle like a low volume lightener, but it's not nothing. So it does have a higher alkalinity, which is what allows you to get that up to 5 levels of lift and tone in one step. So I would say a low level lightener or a fashion light would probably be about the same, but the beauty is this is going to lift and deposit. Just remember, if you're putting this on darker hair, you want it to be at least a level 6 or deeper to get the tone that you're looking for. If it's lighter than a level 6, it might be a unique tone that's maybe not what you were looking for. So it depends on what your end result is, but it is an option for you, and it would probably be about the same amount of damage as a low volume lightener. So I hope that helps with that. If that did not answer the question fully, just remember that you are able to book a one-on-one meeting with an educator by going to skpedu.com. Also, you can find more information by going to our Switch with skp.com page and going to the download center, and you can find all kinds of information there. All right, so let's find our next question here. It says, I've been using Igora Vibrance for gray blending, but it's starting to bother my scalp. Would you recommend using Igora Zero, and can I use 13 volume for gray blending? This is an excellent question. People do have sensitive scalps or allergies in color. So if you are having a reaction to Igora Vibrance, I have a couple of options for you. Some of you may know that we have a few tools. Now, I don't have any up here now, but we have these color essential tools. These color essential tools are tools that you can use behind the chair. And one of these color essential tools is a Scalp Protect. It comes in a black and white bottle. It has like a nice narrow nozzle to where you can really apply this right onto the scalp, beat it right onto the scalp, and just massage it in. What it does is it creates a barrier. So if somebody has allergies to color, or maybe somebody just in general, their hair itches or their head itches a lot, use the Scalp Protect first. That would be step 1. If they're still having some sort of reaction, you can always try Igora Zero. For those of you that don't know, Igora Zero is now, Igora Zero does still use MEAs for their hair color, and MEAs are monoethylenolamine. It is a man-made, colorless, clear liquid that acts like an ammonia, but it is not a gas. So it's colorless. It's also got zero fragrance to it. And sometimes those with sensitive scalp Igora Zero. So that is an option, but first step is try the Scalp Protect. It can work with any of your color brands. I also highly recommend it if you're going to do a bleach and tone, universal bleach and tone, and somebody has a sensitive scalp. Putting on that protective layer of the Scalp Protect will help you there. So if you haven't tried it yet, check out our Scalp Protect black and white bottle. It's amazing. So next question we have here. L89 on 100% gray. Well, I would not use L89. So L89 is our fashion light. That's this purple box. So we're back to this here. And these, instead of having a level, actually have an L in front of it. It stands for fashion light. So that's that L that's in front of it. L-89 is going to be a red and then a violet. So our L-89 gives you almost kind of this pinky tone. And so you're asking how you can get this kind of pinky tone by just adding or just putting this on 100% gray hair. So if you have 100% white hair, what you need to do is formulate. So while absolutes, which are true colors that you can use to give you 100% gray coverage, and they're pre-blended for you, the most we have here is a -88, which is red extra. So if you're looking for a -88, you've got a 6-88 here. It's a level 6, 8-80, which is a red and a natural together. That's 100% gray coverage. That's an option if you want more of that red. If you're looking for more of a red violet, we have 9-98 in Igora Real. 9-98 is a level 9, and that's that violet first, and then it's got that red to it. So you can see it's got this nice almost magenta color here. Now by itself, it's going to give you, and it tells you on the bottom of this swatch, up to 70% gray coverage. You're wanting 100% gray coverage. So you'll just need to mix that 9-98 with anything on this naturals page. Anything on this page gives you 100% coverage. if I were you to stay on the cool side, I would actually mix it with a -1. Now, when we're looking at this -1, we have a level 5-1 and a level 6-1. You're trying to get an L-89, so I would go up to about a level 8 or a level 9, somewhere in here. That's that -1. It's a cendre. It's got that blue-violet background. So for that color, if you're looking to truly get that kind of L-89 and somebody has 100% gray hair, again, I would take that 9-98, which is a level 9, and it is that violet red. I'd mix most of my formula with this, so like 30 grams of this, and I would mix it with like an 8-1, a level 8 cendre, to keep the coolness of this end result. And I would mix it depending on the hair. If it's a fine hair, 10 volume would be enough. If it is a coarse, with 20 volume. So I hope that helps out. If they are a darker level, honestly, salt and pepper hair, if they're darker than a level 5, then just depends on what level you're at. You could use up to 30 volume, but 10 or 20 should be good. But I would mix these two shades here together to give you that beautiful L-89, which is your fashion light for that red violet. So next question I have here. When you see new trendy color pick, let's say milk tea, how do you formulate it? This is an excellent question, because a lot of times we're seeing all these fun names. We're seeing mocha mousse, we're seeing praline or caramel, or I don't know, hazelnut latte. All these terms, how do you put that into a picture? I always ask somebody, okay, so I'm seeing a trendy color, say milk tea. If somebody me and said, oh, tea trend, and I want this color, I would first ask them to show me a photo of that color, because a lot of times milk tea is going to look different to one person than it does to another, and that trend could be in a general area. When I hear milk tea, I think of some sort of beigey but neutral tone. So with that, I would ask exactly what milk tea is to that client, and I would start there. Then what I would do is I like to play with swatches. I don't know how many of you out there play with swatches, but for me, if I'm really looking for a particular color, I will find swatches, and I buy them on Amazon. They come on this big ring, and they're these long swatches, and I play with formulas. That is the best way to get it. So knowing what my client's color is, like if I wanted to change mine and I'm like, you know what, I'm seeing a trend of this wine red, like I want this really pretty wine color. Instead of just guessing what's going to happen and putting a formula on, I would take swatches that are about this color and I would apply my different formulas to them to try them out. And then once I found what I thought was perfect, I would go ahead and do a strand test on my hair. So to figure out exactly what these are too, the other thing you can do, a lot of people are putting formulas with their names. So you'll see the name milk tea, for instance, and somebody might put their formula of what that is. So there's several different ways to figure it out, but the best way is to do swatches and find your own formula based upon the shade that you're going on to. Hopefully that answered it. If not, again, you can book your one-on-one appointment with an educator at skpedu.com, and you can book that according to your schedule. So next question we have here, what are the best toners and colors for platinum for Latina hair? This is an excellent question. So when we think of Latina hair, what I'm thinking of is just a darker hair in general. Darker hair, maybe the hair tends to be a little bit more coarse, but what we do know is when you're lifting that hair, you know that you're never going to get to that pale yellow. Even when you get to yellow, you're still at yellow. So the biggest part in getting somebody platinum on Latina hair is to get the base color where you need it to be. And based on where you've lifted that client to will determine what toners you're going to use. But typically, that hair type is going to have more yellow to it. So you're going to want to use something that has a violet. And usually that yellow is more of a yellow-orange versus just yellow. So you might want to have something that has a blue in it as well. So some different options that we have here. One of the favorite ones for somebody who has a lot of yellow or yellow-orange would be this 9.5-21. So you've got the blue first, and you've got cendre. On this swatch, it looks very silver. But if you think of if somebody had yellow-orange, that yellow-orange is going to kick out, or this blue-violet is going to kick out that yellow-orange and give a nice neutral base. If that's a little scary to you, you can always mix this with 9.5-1, which is our #1 selling toner. But the biggest thing I would say is that level 10 toner is not going to be enough pigment weight for Latino hair to be platinum, because that color that it's lifted to is more of a yellow orange. I level to level 7, and when I get lifted to that pale yellow inside of a banana peel yellow. That's where the level 10 toners are perfect for me. But for you, I would stick to the 9.5 series for those clients. Now, sometimes you think that they're at that level 9. Note that our toners are meant for a level 9 or above. If your client is not quite at a level 9, you might need to mix something else in with it. The beauty of Igora Vibrance, our demi-permanent color line, is that it can be intermixed. So you could take your toner and you can mix in a level 9 or a level 8 into that shade to get more cancellation of those brassy tones. So I hope that helped you out. Another tip, I always go slightly deeper on the shadow root or the new growth area than the mids and ends. The mids and ends tend to be more porous, so they're going to grab more of that cooler tone. So I'll usually go, maybe I do like a level 9 on the new growth and a 9.5 series on the mid lengths and ends, so that it's a little bit more sheer, so everything looks the same at the end because the hair is more porous here. Also, don't forget, we do have our hair primer, our Color Essential tools, spray in ahead of time. It evens out the porosity of that hair, allowing that toner to take completely evenly. So don't forget to use that beforehand. So I hope that helped. Again, if it's not quite the answer you were looking for, you can always book a one-on-one appointment with an Ask Expert at skpedu.com. So next question. Hi, and greetings from New York. Hi, we are out in California. I hope you're not too cold in New York. So you use 7-60, which is a level 7 chocolate natural, and 7. So I'm assuming that's 7-0. My hair looks very orangey. I am mostly gray. How do I remove that brassiness? So 7-60 is going to be a level 7 and it's a chocolate natural. Our chocolate, if we talk about where our chocolate sits on a color circle, one of the beauties that we have is we have this lovely color circle. This color circle has all the colors that we have sitting outside of that color circle. Our chocolate, if you look, sits right about here. So it's right in between that yellow and yellow orange. So it does have a bit of an orangey undertone. So when you're putting that on gray hair, sometimes that chocolate can get a little coppery, which is what I think you're seeing, is that little bit of warmth. So rather than getting rid of or taking it out, what I would recommend for you, because you're already colored, you can use Igora Vibrance. If you think what you're seeing at level 7, you're probably seeing more orange than anything. So I would recommend taking, and I'm going to give you a couple of different things here. Because you're a level 7, I don't want to make it any deeper. So I would take 8-11, level 8 Cendre Extra. Now you could mix that with a 7- I'm just trying to find it here, 21. The 7-21 on its own, it is that blue first and then it has that cendre. It will cancel out the warmth that you're seeing. However, because it is so cool, coolness absorbs light. So this level 7 could appear deeper. So my recommendation is take Vibrance 8-11 with the 7-21. So that's level 8 Cendre Extra, Blue Violet Extra, with the 7-21. Which is level 7 blue cendre. Mix these two together, it right out. You only need 6 volume, and you could use, I would use the Vibrance lotion. So I would use your 6 volume Vibrance lotion. This one's your 13, but I would just use your 6 volume Vibrance lotion with that. So hopefully that helped. Try it. Hug me. I'm at Amber Hug on Instagram. Do it and let me know. And don't forget, when you are tagging, you can also tag us on Instagram in any of your photos that you're posting, especially if you took our advice. You can post it and tag at Schwarzkopf USA. Next question here. Can you tell us more about the new gloss toners being acidic and when would be the best to use it versus Vibrance? Love that you asked that question. Our new glow toners are going to be launching, but they are not launching until March. So I was not going to talk about them today, but I will get into the acidic versus alkaline. And then on our next one, I have swatches for the new gloss toners. I didn't want to start talking about them yet, so I will bring them to the next Ask Me Anything, so show up. So the biggest difference is that when would I choose to use Vibrance or use BlondMe New Glow toners? Basically, when would I use alkaline versus an acidic toner? What I would say is it depends on what your end result is. So when you think of an acidic toner, just a reminder, on the pH scale, 7 is neutral. So that is going to be what water typically sits at. It's that neutral. Anything that's acidic is going to close that hair cuticle, and anything that's alkaline is going to swell the cuticle. So when we think of an acidic toner, that acidic toner is sitting on the outside of that hair strand, closing down that hair cuticle. So it's more of that lip gloss for the hair. So it's really just sitting on the outside, and it's giving you that reflection and shimmer on the outside. If your client is that pale yellow, it's beautiful. You just need that refinement, and the hair's already been lifted, and you just want something very gentle that gives you that little kiss of color on the outside, that gloss. That is going to be your New Glow toners. If you've got somebody who got lifted to yellow, level 9, but they still have a lot of yellow, and you might need a little bit more neutralization, you might want to have an alkaline base. An alkaline base shifts open that hair cuticle just enough to allow some of those sky molecules to get under that hair cuticle and others to sit on the outside. So it gets slightly deeper and gives you a little bit more of that neutralization. So in opportunities where you need more neutralization, you might choose an alkaline toner. They're both amazing toners. They both work great. There's different reasons for them both. The other reason I would use a New Glow toner or an acidic toner is if I want like a gold rinse, for instance. We're hearing a lot about just slight refinement on color and maybe a gold rinse, just something to give that hair a shimmer. I would use my BlondMe Glow toners for this because a glow toner, an acidic toner, is going to be slightly more sheer than what a toner in is. Now join me next time we have this, which will be in 3 weeks on a Thursday at 9 a.m. and I can show you the New Glow toners because I do have the swatches. We just didn't want to quite go there because they're not launching until March. So keep your eyes open, but love that question. So next question, please let me know, what is Pastel Fire and how can we use it? This is an excellent question because I feel like Pastel Fire just sits on the shelf and people don't really know exactly what to do with it. So Pastel Fire came out several years ago, and it came out as an option for, so we had these colors like Dusted Rouge, and it was part of a collection of reds. It was some like really fun fashion colors that we brought Pastel Fire out with. Pastel Fire has a couple of jobs. One job is it can create one extra level of lift in your color formula. Another job is it has a slight cendre tone to it, so it can help slightly cool off your color. The other job is it's going to dilute your formula. So that's 3 different jobs. So I think it's like having a bit of a cendre to give that hint of a smokiness. And it also gives you that extra level of lift. So if you've heard of E-Zero, E-Zero is something we used to have, and some of you might still have it in your back bar. It was basically a tube of it gave you that one extra level of lift in your color. So if I was going from a level 4 to a level 7 and I wasn't get there, I might add E-Zero to give me that extra level of lift. I can do the same thing with Pastel Fire. E-Zero was discontinued. This is its replacement. But the benefit is this has that slight smokiness to it, so it's also canceling out warmth at the same time while you're getting that extra level of lift. So this can be used to dilute your formula. So if I say, for instance, 6-8A is darker than I want it to be, that's a level 6 red extra, I can add Pastel Fire into that. It's going to sheer it out, but also give it a hint of a smokiness. So I can use it in a color melt in that instance. If I want to get somebody from a level 4 to a level 7 or 8, and I want to do it with regular color, and I don't know if they can get there, I can add Pastel Fire into that formula. It'll give me that little extra kick and slightly cool it off. But I can also use it just to dilute my formula. So I hope that helps. It is a tool that has multiple uses. I would say in general, I don't use it often in Igora Real because I'm doing gray coverage a lot in Igora Real. But if you're doing a full color melt with Igora Real, I love to use this by taking, for instance, 6-6-8, so level 6 chocolate red on the new growth. Then maybe I mix a third of my formula with my Pastel Fire to make it a little bit lighter and a little bit dustier. And then on the ends, maybe half of my formula with Pastel Fire to make it even lighter and dustier. So several different ways to use it. I hope now you understand, but it is added into any shade in Igora Real, but it will sheer out your gray coverage. So next question we have here. I see Igora Real 7-77, which is level 7 copper extra, and Vibrant 7-77, level 7 copper extra. How many minutes should I wait before it looks like Igora Real? So I think your question is, you see 7-77, which is our level 7 copper extra, and you've seen it in Igora Real, and you've also seen it in Vibrant. And what I think I'm hearing is you feel like you see a slight difference in Igora Real versus Vibrance in 7-7. In level 7 copper extra. So if we think about what ammonia does, ammonia is going to swell that hair cuticle. Well, an MEA can also do that, but in Vibrance, there's not a lot of MEA, so that cuticle may not be swelling much. So sometimes you see a little bit more intensity to the 7-77 level 7 copper extra in Igora Real versus using it in Vibrance. And the question is, how can you make it look like Igora Real? So for that question, I would say you can make sure you're using first 13 volume. Whenever you're doing your Vibrant shades in Igora Vibrance, if you're doing any sort of red shade in Vibrance, I always recommend using 13 volume. That 13 volume is going to give you that slight shift, and it will help you get more intensity to your Vibrant shades. Now, the other option, because you've got more alkalinity essentially in Igora Real, that's why you sometimes see a little bit more punch to that copper. Because we have in our Igora Vibrance also boosters, what I would recommend if you want to use Vibrance and you feel like you're not getting as much intensity, just a little bit of 0-77 to that 7-77 Igora Vibrance. So that way you get that little extra bit of punch. You can also add a little bit of 0-55, that gold reflection, because if you think about it, when you create a little bit of lift, you can get a little bit of copper or gold undertone. So in Igora Real, you're getting that lift, so you're getting that undertone. So add that 0-77 and 0-55 into your 7-7, more punch, and use 13 volume. So I hope that helps you out there. Next question. Color slightly becomes green after toning with milk chocolate BlondMe toner. I lifted the hair to a level 7 and 8. Why? Okay, let's take a look at our milk chocolate toner. So as previously mentioned, we will be switching out into glow toners, but right now we have these. This is our milk chocolate right here. So our milk chocolate toner here, and when I'm looking at this, it's a really nice kind of neutral level 7. Anytime you see something that has a neutral in it, typically there's some sort of blue dye molecule in that color formula. So a little bit of laws of color. To make brown, you have to have one of each of these color molecules. You need to have blue, you need to have red, and you need to have yellow. Those three together will create different shades of brown. More red will make it more of a red brown, more blue will make it a darker brown, and more yellow will make it a lighter brown. So because you've got all three of those, and this is more of a neutral, chances are there's some yellow in whatever tone you're putting this milk chocolate onto, and that yellow is mixing with the blue dye molecule that happens to be in here. So for you, what I would recommend, if you lifted them to a level 7 or 8, because you're at a level 7 or 8, you've got some of that yellow-orange undertone, is maybe mix a little bit more copper into your formula, because orange is going to counteract that. Orange is get counteracted. Sorry, can't messing up my words here. Blue is going to counteract orange, right? So blue counteracts orange, but if you have more yellow than orange, if you've lifted them slightly more, that yellow is mixing with the brown. So maybe add a little bit more copper into that formula. So maybe you add just a little bit of this peach sorbet. I know it seems counterproductive, but add just a little bit of that peach sorbet into that milk chocolate, and I guarantee that'll help to get rid of any green tone that you're seeing. So I hope that helps. For that question too, you might even want to book your one-on-one appointment with one of our educators, and you can do that by going to skpedu.com. So book your one-on-one and they can get more specific with that client for you. So let's take a look at our next question. Okay, hi, why don't your colors cover gray anymore? So that is an excellent question. I'm not sure why you're having that challenge, because I have been using Schwarzkopf for years and it does cover gray. So let's review gray coverage and what gives you 100% gray coverage, and maybe this will help you out behind the chair. I will tell you some things that will keep you from getting gray coverage. You know how it's really popular in between your color appointments to put some color on the gray hair that's showing up? Times those cover-ups have some sort of wax in them. That wax will keep any color from covering your gray. So the first thing is make sure that client has clean hair, because if they're using anything to cover up that gray, it's stopping the color from taking. So first, make sure that it's fully clean. The next thing to do, and if you're not getting gray coverage, just remember that we do have options for that, but anything on this page gives you 100% gray coverage. So in Igora Real, that's where you're going to get 100% gray coverage. Anything on the Naturals page should give you 100% gray coverage on its own. If you're using something off of that Naturals page, just notice that you're only getting up to 70% gray coverage. So if I'm using a shade on this swatch, let's go 4-88 or 4-68, level 4, chocolate red. If I'm using that by itself, I'm not going to get 100% gray coverage. To get 100% gray coverage in Igora Real, it's 2 parts of the fashion shade to 1 part of a natural. So if 4-68 is the goal, I'll use 2/3 of my formula with 4-68, level 4, chocolate red, and 1/3 of that formula can come from your Naturals page, which is this first page. So I can mix it with a -0, -1, but because you're saying you're struggling, I would recommend mix it with a -00. -00 is natural extra. There's extra of that gray coverage in this shade, which is going to help you to get that, because there's 30 or 25% more pigment weight in the -00. If you're still struggling, or maybe you're like, I don't know what 1/3 of a formula is, a scale is amazing for that, and so is a calculator, but sometimes you don't have the time. So typically 30 grams of your fashion shade, 20 grams of your natural is perfect. Now, this page here is our absolutes. These are pre-blended fashion shades for coppers, your golds, your chocolates, your reds. On their own, they give you 100% gray coverage. They have a pro-age complex in them that makes the hair feel better. So they've got ciliamines to smooth that hair cuticle, and they have collagen that's going to plump up the brittle sites. This is going to be mixed with 20 volume or 30 volume, and it's going to process for up to 45 minutes. So if you're struggling with gray coverage, I would mix in -00, which is our natural extra, into your formula. I would also maybe switch to Igora Absolutes that has 30% more pigment weight. If you're still struggling, this is just an Amber tip. I like to take a plastic cap and over top of the hair. That plastic cap helps trap in the heat. That heat will help you get better gray coverage. So maybe try that. Every now and then, I might put them under a low heat for the first 5 minutes of the processing time. Only the first 5. Let it cool the rest. That'll help drive that pigment molecule back in a little bit better. So if you are struggling with gray coverage, try those tips first. And again, don't forget perfectly clean hair, because if they have anything on their hair, sometimes it doesn't allow the color to take. So I hope that helps. But for you also, if you want to book your one-on-one appointment with an educator to discuss further particular clients, you can always go to skpedu.com. So next question, can you recommend a formula using Igora Zero with 13 volume, lightest color without going brassy? Level 8-9. Definitely don't want to warm the warmth of a base. So in Igora Zero, technically, this is a permanent hair color range. So what that means is if I've got gray coverage and I need to cover gray, this is my go-to. If I don't need gray coverage, or if I'm looking for more of a gray blending situation, I can actually use Igora Vibrance. So with Igora Zero, you can use your Igora Vibrance activators. However, if you're looking for gray coverage, I wouldn't recommend using the activators with this. So it depends on what your end result is. So you're looking at going to a level 8 or 9, and you're mixing it with a 13 volume. Now, what you're looking for, you're using 13 volume, lightest color without going brassy, definitely 8-9, don't want a warmth of a base. So level 8-9, your coolest shades over here, it's going to be your 8-19 in a level 8. 8-19 is that cendre violet. That's going to be your coolest shade. So if you're using this, I would actually say you don't even need to go all the way to 13 volume. You could use 10 Igora developer with this. And that's going to keep you from getting brassy, because the higher the volume developer, the more opportunity for lift that you get. So you could just use 10 volume with the 8-19, and that's going to keep the cooler shade. Now, if we're looking at a level 9, your coolest shade in a level 9 is going to be a 9-1. And again, if you're just doing 10 volume, you won't get as much of that shift or that lift. The other option is the 9-42, which is a beige natural. So hopefully that will help you out. I would say the lighter you go, the more chance of getting shift. So maybe stop at a level 8 and use that 8-19. So hopefully that helps. That'll help eliminate any warmth at the base. So our next question that we have here, can you explain the pastel toners in Igora Vibrance and when you would use them? Absolutely. So Igora Vibrance is our demi-permanent line for Schwarzkopf Professional. And in our demi-permanent, we actually have a lot of pastel shades. So when you're looking at this last page, you've got all of the pastel shades that we have. When you hear pastel, automatically think toner. A pastel is a toner. So let's first talk about the difference between a 9.5 series and a level 10. So your 9.5 series is meant to be put on a level 9 or above to help refine your blonde hair. It's a level 9 or above. So I always say this is like a low level 9. There's still some yellow left in that hair, and you're trying to neutralize that out. When you're using a level 10 toner, it needs to be a pale yellow, like inside of a banana peel yellow, in order to show up. If you're not inside of a banana peel yellow, you're not going to notice these tones. So essentially, our toners or pastels are meant to be more translucent pigment weight to help tone on a level 9 or above. So with these, we recommend using 6 volume Vibrance, either lotion or gel. We choose the lotion when you're trying to do a more precise application, bolt and brush. And a gel is when you're trying to be very quick at your application. So if you're doing a toner at the shampoo bowl with 6 volume gel, you can easily apply that with a bottle and work it through very easily. Now our toners are going to last, the 9.5 series lasts up to 12 shampoos. Your level 10 toners, because they are more sheer, can last up to 6 shampoos. Your mixing ratio for the toners is always going to be 1 part of your color to 1 part of your developer. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio, making it super easy. So for instance, if my toner is 9.5-1, I can mix it, say 20 grams of 9.5-1 with 20 grams of my 6 volume Vibrance, either activator or lotion. Your processing time, that's probably one of the key factors. It's 5 to 20 minutes. I always say when it comes to toners, the longer you let it stay on the hair, the longer that toner is going to last. So if I'm just doing highlights at the shampoo bowl, I might only let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes. But if I'm doing a true universal bleach and tone, I like to put this 80% dry palette first, and then I let them sit for the full 20 minutes to get that full longevity. So that's a little bit about our pastel toners. There's a lot of different shades. I would say that's one of my favorite ones to mix together is a cendre and a beige. It makes the most beautiful natural tone. It's at 9.5-1 with 9.5-4 equal parts. But we have a couple of newer shades that we just launched, and I will say I'm obsessed with 10-51. It's a level 10, and it's got that gold first and then that cendre. But look how beautiful it's a beautiful butter blonde. So if you have not tried them yet, 100% try them out. Whenever you see pastel, it means more translucent pigment weight. It is your toners. If you have any more questions, don't forget, book your one-on-one appointment with an Ask Expert at skpedu.com. Now also, don't forget, switchwithskp.com has all kinds of assets, including this color circle that we showed you before, and the number system are all available there for you, along with a paper swatch chart showing you everything we have. So don't forget to go to our download center at switchwithskp.com. So next question we have here. Why do level 8 light hair colors on Indian hair fade so fast and turn yellow warm after a few weeks, even with the right shampoo and home care. How can we make cool tones last longer? This is an excellent question because longevity is hard, right? So when we're talking about an Indian hair texture, like Indian hair tends to be a little bit, the strands of hair tend to be a little bit thicker and coarser. And the other difference on its lip, my hair, for instance, because I have Caucasian hair and it's a finer hair texture, I have more of an oval shape to my strand of hair. When it's oval, it's easier to lift the color because two sides of that hair strand are very close to the cortex, whereas the other two are a little bit further away. Whereas some hair strands are round. And when it's round, that means there's no easy way to get to the cortex and tends to be a little bit coarser hair as well. And a lot of times Indian hair has that feel. And so it can be harder to lift Indian hair. So if you have lifted somebody to that level 7, level 8, or level 8 plus, chances are that a lot of yellow-orange undertones. So there's a couple of different things here. In our BlondMe range, we actually came out with bleach and tone shades. These bleach and tone shades actually have a blue top here rather than the purple, and then it'll have BT on the side for bleach and tone. There's 3 shades. There's ash, there's matte, and there's violet. These are actually pigments that you can put in your lightener to help tone while lifting. So if you have not tried that yet, that is step 1. Add your bleach and tone shade into your 9 Plus lightener. Now, a good rule of thumb, 1 scoop of lightener, 1 to 5 grams of your bleach and tone shade. So 1 scoop of lightener is approximately 35 grams. You'll add 1 to 5 grams of bleach and tone shade to that scoop of lightener to help tone while lifting. Now, on a hair texture that's going to a level 8, I would recommend using an ash toner, which is that blue base, to cancel out that orange. So start there. Use the bleach and tone shade when you're lifting to create a better starting base. It will be a cooler starting base, I promise. Next step, go ahead and put your toner on from IGORA VIBRANCE. So choose whatever toner you want to use. I would say for somebody that's a level 8, you might actually need to go down to a level 8 rather than using an actual toner. So maybe choosing like 8-11 right here at the top, or if a level 8's too dark for them, you could use a level 9 toner because it has more pigment weight to tone out at that level. So apply your toner, put it on dry hair, let it sit for the full 20 minutes. Then once you rinse that hair color, if you don't know, extra layers of color will make color last longer. Chroma ID is colored conditioners for the hair. And we do have some of these that are toners as well. So we have numbers that match. So this one is 8-46, which is a level 8, and that's that beige chocolate. But we also have 9.5-1, which is our #1 selling toner. So I always say add your bleach and tone first as you're lifting, then put on your toner, let it sit for the full 20 minutes. At the shampoo bowl, you shampoo out the toner, and then this is your conditioner. It sits for 10 minutes, and it will last up to 10 to 12 shampoos. It just depends on the porosity of that hair. But what this does is adds that extra layer of color on the hair, giving you more longevity. So I hope that helps. The other thing is you could potentially give them some of this in a little Dixie cup to take home with them for their in-between service. So Chroma ID is a savior, and then bleach and tone, add that to your lightener. Works like a dream. All right, so next question we have here. One of my clients has 100% gray hair that I wouldn't consider stubborn, but I can't achieve 100% gray coverage. It always comes out translucent. I use 7-0. By the way, absolutely love Igora. Amazing. So it sounds to me like you might need to add a little bit more pigment weight. So I don't know if any of you out there have seen this. Somebody may not have extremely coarse hair, but they might have still kind of resistant hair. I've even had clients that are a level 7, level 8, and if I put a level 6 on them, it looks like a level 7. It doesn't even take the way that it's supposed to. And it's because they have a tighter cuticle. So sometimes they may not have a coarse resistant hair type, but they might have a little bit of a tighter cuticle. So I see that you have used 7-0 by itself, and that hasn't given you 100% gray coverage. There's 25% more gray coverage in the 7-00. So I wouldn't use 7-00 by itself though. What I would say is start by mixing a third of your formula take the 7-0 that you normally use, add just a third of your formula with 7-00 to add a little bit more pigment weight. If you're still not achieving that 100% gray coverage, then go equal parts of 7-0 with 7-00. And then you'll use your 20 volume developer. Because she's not getting the coverage, I would say 20 volume is going to work better. So try adding a -00 natural extra into your formula. And also, if you want to talk more specifically about that client, book your one-on-one appointment with an Ask Expert at skpedu.com. All right, so next question here. I love that you guys have all the questions today. New year, whole new bout of questions. Love it. All right, so next question is, what treatments would you recommend for overly processed bleached hair? Unfortunately, damage is up the shaft of the hair. We gave her a good haircut, but would love to know what else you'd like to use. This is an excellent question. How many of you out there have heard of or used our fiber clinics? I'd love to see some hearts. Fiber clinics is amazing. We relaunched this last year, and there's an in-salon version and there's an over-the-counter version. So for your client that has really damaged hair, the in-salon version is a black bottle. It doesn't come in this bottle, but it is black and it has still the pump and it is a liter size. That is your back bar. That's your in-salon only. So I would start by shampooing the hair with the nourishing shampoo in the fiber clinics, the regular shampoo. If they have buildup, there is a purifying shampoo as well. So if there's any sort of product buildup in their hair, you can always use a purifying shampoo, but you'll start by using that shampoo. Then there's two different masks. There's one for fine hair and there's one for coarse hair. And then we have boosters. The boosters can be added to your mask to customize the mask for your client. So for this client that has overly processed hair, I would take the mask, and depending on if it's fine or coarse hair, I would determine mask to use that way. And I would add into it, we have 3 boosters. One is called Vibrancy, and that's meant to actually lock in your hair color. One is Hydrate. That's going to help with hydration and moisture in the hair. And the third is called Fortify. Fortify is going to strengthen that hair from the inside out. For this client, if hair is overprocessed, it's probably damaged, but also very dry. So I would mix in your Fortify for strength, and then also your Hydrate for moisture. So you'll take your mask either for fine or for coarse hair and add in those 2 boosters. Now the mask itself and Fiber Clinics itself has a bonding technology called Bondfinity, which is an infinity amount of bonding. So essentially think of a whole forest of trees. If a whole forest of trees is broken, or say you've got a bunch of sticks. So we're going to put these up. So these sticks are all stuck together, right? They're all stuck together. This is a bond. Or a bunch of trees that are stuck together. Well, now they've all fallen apart because the bonds between them fell, and now they're like all over the place. So what our Bondfinity technology does is it actually helps to bring those back together and kind of glue them back together to strengthen the hair from the inside out. That's what our Bondfinity technology is doing. So it's strengthening the inside of that hair strand, and we're also having the ability of adding in skincare inspired ingredients that are going to address specific situations. So start with that Fiber Clinic shampoo back bar, use either a fine or coarse hair mask, and add in a Fortify booster and a Hydrate booster. You'll let that sit for about 5 minutes, rinse that out of the hair. Another option, we have our instant infusion treatment. If you have not tried it yet, you can use that even as you're using the Fiber Clinic's other treatment. You can use them hand in hand. You could do the treatment and then do the infusion, but the infusion is a liquid. It's a bottle that's about this large, and it is a liquid that has a Bondfinity technology that instantly detangles and instantly creates softness in the hair. So I would do that treatment, and then in between I would do a Bondfinity service. All you do is shampoo the hair first, towel dry, apply that bond infusion treatment either by itself or mix it with water if somebody has fine hair. You'll run your hands through, you'll see it start to work right away, you'll feel the detangling, and then you just rinse that out of the hair, and you can follow up with a conditioner if you'd like. So you could even do that one before you put your treatment on. So there's a way better, so try our Fiber Clinics. All right, next question. For longevity of color, would it be better to use permanent color with 10 volume on mids and ends versus vibrance? Would this be a safe option for pre-lightened hair? Love this question because back in the day, it was only permanent that we had. Permanent hair is all you had. So stylists would use different things like, oh, I've got color left in this bowl. Let me just like add some more developer and make it my demi-permanent to pull through the mids and ends. Or let me just add some conditioner to this particular bowl of color and run it through. What you have to remember is that there is still ammonia in that color. Some of that ammonia has dissipated, which allows it to work more like a demi-permanent. But I would recommend, if you're pulling color through mids and ends, I highly recommend using Vibrance. Vibrance is meant to be a more gentle option, especially if the ends have been pre-lightened. It's meant to have that more gentle technology. It utilizes something called Aquasil. Aquasil is a combination of vitamins B3 and B5 in conjunction with a sugar molecule that crystallizes on the outside of the hair, causing extreme shine and also retaining moisture on the inside of the hair. So you're getting care ingredients by using the Vibrance, by having the Aquasil technology. So it would actually be safer and better for pre-lightened hair to use Vibrance than to use Igora Zero. And let's put it this way. I know myself, I always look at the dollar signs. A tube of Vibrance costs less than a tube of Igora Zero, just FYI. So it might actually save you in the long run. So I hope that helped and answer your question. Vibrance over a permanent for mid-lengths and ends, unless they have gray hair and you're trying to cover that. All right, so next question. Number 3, dark brown hair, lifted to a level 7-8 without bleach. Fun question, right? We all want that. We all want to have that miracle worker. So the closest thing you're going to get is our fashion lights, which we talked about before. These shades will give you up to 5 levels of lift and tone in one step, even on previously colored hair. So if somebody's a level 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you can get up to a level 8. Now, will it be as vibrant as these swatches? No, these swatches are put on a level 5. So this is how intense. And when we say up to, we mean up to 5 levels of lift. So what I would say is these are off scalp only. They're not meant to be on scalp. So you're not going to get that much lift on scalp. Off scalp only. But then these can be used in foils. To get the maximum lift, I would put these in foils because the foils are going to trap in heat and allow you to get a little bit more lift. So use your fashion lights with 40 volume in foils. That's going to be the closest you can get there without using bleach. So try it out. Let me know your thoughts. If it doesn't quite get you there, then maybe use a low volume lightener. Opinions on using bleach with color. So when I hear that statement, I think bleach with color, like adding a color into my lightener. So if that's what you're talking about, most of the time the alkalinity in a lightener is going to eat the pigment in your color. So it really isn't going to do much to add a color to your lightener. So if you're doing it to kind of neutralize out, that's where the bleach and tone shades in BlondMe really come in handy. Now, using bleach with color, as far as like if I was to put a regrowth onto someone's hair and then I wanted to go through and do a highlight and I want to bring that lightener over top of the color that I just applied, you just have to remember that you're fighting through that color you just applied. So it won't lift as much in the area that you already have color. And so it'll be a softer lift there and then lighter on the mids and ends. But we don't recommend using color in the bleach because you're not really going to notice the difference because that bleach is just going to eat that dye molecule. So excellent question. We've got time for 1, maybe 2 more. So let's see. Next question. Why do level 8 hair colors on, okay, well, you know what? We answered that one already. So we'll move on to the next one. Can you recommend a formula using Igora Zero with 13 volume, lightest color without going brassy, level 8, 9? Definitely don't want to go too warm. That one's also one I answered. Maybe I'm a little hot here, so let's go a little bit lower. All right, here's one. Where can I buy swatch books? These are beautiful, right? And everybody wants one of these swatch books. How do I get one? So this person says they recently switched and haven't found any stores or websites that carry the book. So one thing that you should know if you are not using our brand yet is that we have intro deals. So for you, if you haven't done an intro deal yet, I would either talk to the store, whatever your local distributor store is, go there. Or if you have a sales rep, talk to your sales rep. Ask them, what are the intro deals? Because intro deals will come with color, developer, typically bowls, brushes, some little other swag, but the biggest point is you get the swatch book. So it is available that way. A lot of times local distributors can order just the swatch book, but I'm telling you right now, this by itself is like $150, I think. And even the Vibrance swatch book is still like $100. So if you want to drop some money, go for it. But otherwise, I would check with your local distributor, find out what intro deals you have, and get a chance to use it that way. So hopefully that answered that question. We have time for maybe one more question because we've got about 2 minutes left. Let's see okay. All right. So I might have answered 11, but let me go up and see if I missed one. Here's one. Which bleach is the most gentle, and do you recommend using a bonder to the bleach? If so, which one? Love this question as well. Well, I'm going to go ahead and say it out loud. BlondMe 9 Plus is not our most gentle option. This is our workhorse. This is what I call the Ferrari of bleaches. It's going to get you where you need to go, and it's going to get you there very quickly. Now, there's a couple of options for more gentle lighteners. One of them is our BlondMe clay lightener. Your clay lightener is going to give you 7 levels of lift, and it's going to give you that little bit of an outer shell and keep the moisture on the inside. And because it's a slower acting lightener, it's going to be a little bit more gentle, but it is strictly hand painting techniques. So another option is our BlondMe Plus and BlondMe Super Plus. So these two right here are in the Igora family. I said BlondMe, but what I meant was Igora Vario Blonde Plus and Igora Vario Blonde Super Plus. These two, this one will give you up to 7 levels of lift. This one gives you up to 8 levels of lift. But I call them like my Volvo. They're going to get me where I need to go, but they're going to get me there gently and slowly. Now your next question, do I need to add a bonder? That answer is no. All of our lighteners have a bonding technology inside of them. So you can see by this right here, we have a fiber bond technology inside this lightener, which means you do not need to add anything to your formula because the bonding technology we have is this azelaic acid that creates this protective barrier around each and every bond to help protect the bonds while lifting. So kind of like at Christmas, when you got that Christmas tree, they put the net around it to protect the Christmas tree. Think of the azelaic acid that's in this lightener as like a little bit of a protective net around each and every bond. So hopefully that answered. We got to most of your questions, but just remember, if I did not answer your question, you can book a one-on-one appointment with an Ask Expert at skpedu.com. Also, don't forget that you can get any information, color charts, things like that on our Switch with skp.com page. And don't forget to join me in 3 weeks. We will continue this on Thursdays at 9 a.m. throughout the entire year of 2026. So join us in 3 weeks as we go over another Ask Me Anything. Keep running through your brain, find other questions that you have for me, and I can't wait to see you on our next Ask Me Anything in 3 weeks.